We'll do it live.
Okay. No.
We'll do it live. Fuck it. Do it live. I'll write it and we'll do it live.
James Woods can say is, ooh, a piece of candy, ooh, a piece of candy, ooh, a piece of candy, ooh, a piece of candy. When a Bowen turned into a vampire, all James Woods could say was, ooh, a piece of candy, ooh, a piece of candy, ooh, a piece of candy, ooh, a piece of candy. When he became Peter's best friend, they sat around the house and said, piece of candy, ooh, a piece of candy, ooh, a piece of candy, ooh, a piece of candy. And you know that James Woods prices lines real well, but everything that he reads becomes real hard to spell. Everyone tries to help him, but the words just won't come out. There's only one thing he can think of, and it's what comes out his mouth. Ooh, a piece of candy, ooh, a piece of candy, ooh, a piece of candy, ooh, a piece of candy. When he comes out of his house, the women scream and shout. Ooh, a piece of candy, ooh, a piece of candy, ooh, a piece of candy, ooh, a piece of candy. When they know that he's nectar, the best of them all when he says, ooh, a piece of candy, ooh, a piece of candy, ooh, a piece of candy, ooh, a piece of candy. Reese's Pieces on the floor and watch him come a saying, ooh, a piece of candy, ooh, a piece of candy, ooh, a piece of candy, ooh, a piece of candy. And you know that James Woods prices lines real well, but everything that he reads becomes real hard to spell. Everyone tries to help him, but the words just won't come out. There's only one thing he can think of, and it's what comes out his mouth. Ooh, a piece of candy, ooh, a piece of candy, ooh, a piece of candy, ooh, a piece of candy. When he comes out of his house, the women scream and shout. Ooh, a piece of candy, ooh, a piece of candy, ooh, a piece of candy, ooh, a piece of candy. Piece of candy.
I've seen things you people wouldn't believe.
So, a creature for my amusement. Prepare for battle.
Fucking thing sucks!
Well, that was quick. I don't know how that worked. Anyway, we're here. Thank Jeebus or whoever deity you may or may not worship. Section of Bulla, last show of the year. Thanks for coming out. Shout out to everybody in the chat here on YouTube. We got range control. We got Kim, Allison M, Reef Breland. We also have Velvet Trance, Noli D in the house. So, yeah, I always get nervous doing these shows, not because of who I'm talking to. I always have fun with who I'm talking to. It's the technical bugaboos and the gremlins that do this shit. But so hopefully this thing doesn't go tits up, or at least not in a bad way tonight. So we shall see. But first, I want to introduce my final guest of 2021. He is an activist. He is a documentary filmmaker, and he may be not of this planet. He may be from Inner Earth, but we'll have to find out. But he is this guy. Oh, mon frère! It is the Pokémon monster. I can't say that shit. Fuck it. The fuck happened, man?
I Poikin Nostradamus, right? That's where you headed with that?
Bless you.
I gotta say, I am glad that I brought my copy of Where the Red Fern Grows, because I got stoned at the beginning of that intro. Like, I'd stopped being high about halfway through it. I was like, I'll get some reading done.
There you go.
Got
That's
high
what.
Again. I'm very happy to be here, my friend. How you doing tonight?
You say that now.
Thank you for inviting me on, being your last guest of the year. The show that I closed out last year, I realized this morning, was that I was a particular content creator's last guest last year, just not invited back on the show this year at all, which is a sign of the times that we are living in. But if you want to catch that guy, he's usually doing like the occasional walk and talk down at LA Beach with a pink mask on, regardless of whether or not there's a mandate in effect.
I know, right?
Rather.
That's kind of how it is around here. It's just like kind of a crapshoot. At least in my neck of the woods, there are. I see a lot of people just not wearing masks, and you know, and it's not just like you know, like working class people. I see a lot of like hoity-toities going around here maskless too. I stopped wearing the mask like a while back because it was like, look, I already got the shit, and then I got 2 shots already. You know, I'm done. All right, I should own this condo, right? I've made the down payment. I own this fucking condo. I'm not paying a monthly fee for this thing. I don't know. That was kind of a bad analogy, but you get what I'm saying, right?
I do. I am marginally sidetracked. Whatever Sleepy Josh is watching, like in a very like poorly insulated room over, is apparently hilarious because they're loud as fuck. So let me go ahead and pop the other earbud in. Maybe
no, go ahead.
A little bit. Hopefully it won't bleed over into the microphone. That would be
man.
funny as fuck though.
As the kids say, you do you, boo. And I don't know if kids say that or not anymore. Fuck it. This kid does. I also say fat with a PH too, but I kind of like thinking of myself as a man out of time. You know, I just kind of like do my own thing, whatever feels good. You know, because there's just too much.
I think that just about anybody stuck in the 90s is using that as a shield and a cudgel at the same time at this point. No, I'm just I'm doing my own thing. No, my music hasn't changed in 25 years. Why would it? Everything that's come out since has sucked, and we know this. And you know, but no, I'm not in a particular place whatsoever. Let's fist fight over Soundgarden versus Pearl Jam right now. Right now. Let's do that right now.
I'm like that little girl from the commercials. Like, why not both? Right? You know, why we gotta like pick one or the other? Boys, that bullshit, right? I'll tell you, when I stopped being a radio station DJ back in around the mid '90s, and I think that's when I stopped trying to find new music, because we would play. It was a classic rock station, right? And then we would play it with the new music hour, and that's when we were playing shit like you know, Nirvana and who else? What's the one with the B girl? Those guys, Blind Melon, and you know, Pearl Jam.
So quickly, Shannon Hoon, the lead singer of Blind Melon, was from a small town called Tipton, Indiana. I grew up in Anderson, Indiana. One of my best friends growing up was a kid named Brian Howenstein. He moved to Tipton when we were 12. I would hang out regularly. His sister briefly dated Shannon Hoon while they were in high school. So I bet that dude, when he was on his way of, you know, getting the fuck out of Tipton, Indiana, which he did for, you know, a good little while there, but
that's
caught up with him.
Yeah, that's interesting, because the rest of the band, I believe, and I could be wrong, but I was told the rest of the band was from West Point, Mississippi, and I actually worked in that. I went to Mississippi State. Up in Northeast Mississippi, and it's right around there, right? So I worked with these guys that used to hang out with those cats, right? And the first time I ever smoked pot was out of a bong about yay big that belonged to Blind Melon. So, and it made me sick, and I almost didn't smoke pot again. So, but fortunately, I have friends that are good at peer pressure, and the second time I smoked it, my feet felt like they disappeared, and the rest, as they say, is history. So yeah, I've been a fan ever since. But I've never done mushrooms, so that's why when you pimp your matrix bars on your show on Slow News Day on Sundays through Thursday, right? Monday through
Correct.
Thursday in the mornings, and then what time on Sundays? I know we'll get to this later, but I just want to, from my own knowledge.
Oh, it's 1 o'clock on the East Coast, 10 o'clock on the West Coast, 6 p.m. if you're paying attention, or 8 p.m.
I gotta tell you, man, when you started doing the morning gig, I was like, whoa, this is cool, because I'm kind of a morning-ish person myself. Like, by the time I get up and have coffee and breakfast or whatever, by the time that's all done, that's when your show comes on. So, and it's so good. I feel like every time I watch that show, I feel so stupid, because I don't know I don't know a teeny tiniest of what you know, because you've been paying attention for so long. You know,
Can I tell you the secret? Can I tell you the secret? And this is what the whole ass reason that I started the show anyway, because the lane that I wanted to jump into is basically just as wide as the day that I jumped into it, which is a fucking shame, but presents a wonderful opportunity. And that's most people with a camera and you know, some opinions, just want to talk about politics. We don't want to talk about politics. Politics is way the fuck downstream from the shit that we're talking about. And not only is that vastly more like not just interesting to me, it's more genuinely informative. I'm not a person who like hate watches shows. I can't do that. I don't have a content creator that I root for, like, per se, you know what I mean? Which I understand people that do both of those things. I'm not knocking that. That's not me. So it's not gonna be reflective in the kind of show that we do. And we're not a gossip channel, and we're not a reaction channel that's trying to pass as a news channel. We're trying to make the people who don't want to be household names. We're trying to have grown-up, nuanced conversations about sometimes controversial and complex topics without resorting to ad hominems, a reason to rage quit. I don't bring people on to yell at them. I bring people on to find out like how quickly I can pull them into an anarchist mindset so that we could get past all of this shit.
No, I hear you. And your particular lane that you take, not a lot of people are taking. I mean, there are some, but you know, like you and Fee and Pasta and Johnny at the Combo Couch. I mean, that's where yeah, I know. Shout out to Mikasa Sukasa. I learned about you through them because I think I was watching their show and you were a guest on, and you weren't talking about politics. You were talking about stuff that kind of I'd never really thought about before, you know. And I love learning to learn in new ways. You know what I mean? I think I told Bess when she was on. I said I started off in politics like a Democratic, you know, super fan. You know, I was a fan of Bill Clinton, and now I just feel unclean. You know, I feel like just, oh God, what was I? You know, I feel like the drunk hoe right after the prom who's like, you know, giving hand jobs in the parking lot. I feel like that guy, that lady or guy, and you know, because now that I've learned so much about what politics itself just seems to me like it's just a distraction now, you know. I mean, like, electoral politics, nothing is getting done, and the only way I think personally that anything's going to get done electorally is if someone comes out of direct action, that kind of person rises up, someone who is who shows you what a leader does, because what their actions are doing are inspiring people to do the same things. You know what I'm saying? And you know, but like with your show, it just seems like you seem like you're about 3 steps ahead of everybody else. You know, but it's like you said, it's you know, you're not like some wizard or something. You know, you're just paying the fuck attention, right? So I mean, when did all this start for you, though?
Well, I was fortunate enough to grow up in a really boring town in the Midwest that was close enough to Deer Creek Music Center and close enough to the infamous Pine Lakes campground, to where when concerts would roll through and I had friends that were a number of years older than me, we would go. I was introduced to like good punk rock and real hip hop and clean LSD and Coast to Coast AM with Art Bell, like around the general same time, late 80s, early 90s. And got a hold of Behold a Pale Horse, like right when it came out. And once that's kind of the tail end of your formative years, you know, there was a guy, I talk about it on the show sometimes. He was a newsman, a real newsman, had Cabal News Services, Travis T. Hip, and he would say, well, I took my retirement on the front end. Now I'm gonna work until I die. And he did. He did. He did. Gave a news broadcast and went home and died in his sleep. You know, at a very advanced age and after a number of health issues. But I took my retirement on the front end. That will get you a worldview that is inherently distrustful of politics, authority in general, certainly law enforcement, and most people.
Yeah, you mentioned what you were saying earlier about Coast to Coast AM and the Pale Horse. I remember when I worked out in Cali, I used to work at Borders Books, and I would always raid the what do they call it? It's like where all the UFO books and stuff like that were. Speculation, that's what they called it. But they had like a ton of David Icke books in there, right? So I started, we could check them out if we worked there. So I would take them home and start reading about it. One of the first fucked up things that I read about was how Donald Rumsfeld had managed to get aspartame legalized. Do you know anything about that?
I mean, it's nothing more really than a lobbying effort or something like that. But he was one of the people that was instrumental in twisting the right arms or applying the right leverage. Outside of that, I'm not familiar enough with it. Like I remember seeing similar stories. I read the David Icke books the first time that, you know, I was ever exposed to the concept of the lizard people. It wasn't like David Icke doesn't like ease it in. You know, he's like, yeah, I'm in the middle of a broadcast, and all of a sudden it dawns on me that the world is being ran by shape-shifting reptilians, and it just sort of goes at it, and the pedophile George Bush, and the pedophile, you know, and like, boom, boom, they're fucking just sitting there punching you, and it's like, damn, doggy, like, we could have, you know,
he does
up to this, bro.
I know, right? How do you?
It's a lot. It is.
How do you segue though? I mean, it's like you know, you're talking about like talking about stuff. That's what sucked me in was when he talked about like the aspartame, because I was like kind of interested of that at the time. I knew there was something up about it, like it was like kind of funky. Like I knew somebody that would just drink Diet Cokes till the cows came home and was just depressed as fuck, right? So I was like, the shit, there's got to be some connection. Yeah, so you're reading about all this stuff, and then all of a sudden the reptilians show up. You're like, oh man, why you gotta put Land of the Lost up in here, Dave, with the fucking slee stacks?
So I'm watching my good friend Charlie's show, which I recommend everyone do. If you're not watching Macroaggressions with Charlie Robinson, oh man, he does a great show. He does. And he had a dude on, and they're talking like some wild shit, you know, and then all of a sudden there's just a seamless, emotionless, like nary a change in you know, cadence or tone, none of that from. And these are the projects that we know that we have. There's YouTube videos and History Channel things that talk about these tunnels. And my father, the first time that he was abducted by aliens, was brought, and it just seamlessly transitions into this. There are generational families that are abductees, and they've been studying, you know, for blah, blah, blah. And like, okay. So Charlie art bells the fuck out of it, takes it for what it is, asks questions, pushes back where like someone who was 100% on board with it would push back a little bit. Wild fucking conversation.
Yeah,
I mean, it's like that. There was just no warning whatsoever.
I got on board the Coast to Coast train a little late, probably around 2003 with what's his name that's doing it now.
Snorri.
Snorri. Yeah. It was like, you know what's great though? It is on all Art Bell's old stuff. I think it's Art Bell on Periscope. That's the channel on YouTube, and it has like, it doesn't have all the Coast to Coast, but it has like his Midnight in the Desert, and that was the other show that he did. They kind of did on his own. I can't think of it right now, but so good. I mean, that's my bedtime stories. I listen to that shit going to bed at night, and you know, I guess like something kind of snapped in me back in 2000 when all that bullshit was going on with Bush and Gore, and it was like my spidey senses were tingling like something is off here, like in the grand cosmos of like not just politics but like how the world works in general. And it always puts a smile on my face to hear folks like you who are telling the truth, you know, and finding ways to get around, you know, the man trying to bring you down, because you are trying to tell the truth to people, you know. And it ain't like you're up here selling shitty cereal like some people on the internet. You know who I'm talking about. Those people, the cockroaches of the establishment.
Long fucking list, man, and I do gotta go by like 7 my time. You know, we couldn't get through.
No, right?
Everybody. But I mean, there are some particularly, I don't know, roided out turd polishers. Probably. I look, man, I'm not here to disparage anyone or stop anyone from making a buck. I'm not. But I think at the end of the day, it's important to recognize that a significant amount of people, myself included, are trying to eat off of this. You know, I make no fucking bones about that. None whatsoever.
Yeah, and
it's not a lavish life I'm after. Clearly.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. It's like when you compare like different outlets on there, because people are they're getting away from the cable news slowly but surely, and they are coming to find alternative sources like through YouTube or Rumble or Rockfin or Odyssey or any of these other video sites that host people. And so, you know, we need gatekeepers on this side to kind of like, when the newbies come in, you kind of say, hey, look, I know you're looking for this and this, but these cats over here, they're going to be selling you a bill of goods, you know. And I'm not saying I'm better person than them. I'm just saying let the buyer beware, because, you know, it is kind of the Wild West out here for the most part until like YouTube and all the, you know, Twitter and all these other places started cracking down with censorship. But, you know, we need truth tellers, and there's like, there's nothing wrong with trying to make money to live, right? If, you know, I think it would be great if somebody like you, if like your whole, your all your needs are taken care of, and you're able to do this, because this, I mean, yes, the living part, obviously you can't do this without living, right? But this work that you're doing and others like you are doing is extremely important, because you're not seeing it or hearing it outside of the internet mostly, right?
I mean, even to like spread that out a little bit further, even like Candace Owens. I don't know if you saw this. She did it looked like a selfie video where she was in a brown, like she was in a brown hoodie and the hood was up, and she was shooting it from like fat girl angle, so she looked even smaller. And I basically what she was saying was that the reason that Donald Trump is a vaccine salesman isn't because he's a vaccine salesman, it's because he's not hella online. He doesn't, you know, he just goes to mainstream sources. He doesn't draw from the internet for anything. And she got attacked for that. were the point people who were attacking her were trying to make was that, well, of course, you go down on any rabbit hole on the internet that you want to, but if you want real news, you go to trusted sources. Like this segment brought to you by Pfizer. This next segment brought to you by Moderna. This next segment brought to you by Johnson & Johnson. We're going to give you the straight dope brought to you by General Electric and Pfizer. Like, are you with a straight face? And look, I only have the kind of love for Candace Owen that I have for all women that particular shade. One of my favorites. Definitely one of my favorites. And she's fine. She is. Like, I
don't know, man.
and look, I'm not saying her in particular, but if someone wandered by me that looked a whole lot like her, I would be talking to her. Now, I'd be like, Warren, I'm sorry, bro. I gotta go. This is please.
I mean, as far as her looks are concerned, yeah, she's a beautiful lady. But the thing,
She's shallow.
No. But the thing that here's some shallow shit right here. I'm an eye guy, and her eyes to me are like too far apart. You know what I mean? It's like somebody did a Photoshop and cut her face in half, and then just like flipped the other side and made it kind of look that weird shit. Or because she could be reptilian. And that's how their eyes are.
Them crazy eyes. And you know better. But every once in a great while, you're like, fuck it. I'll destroy my life. Why not? I'm aware of what's going to happen when I put my hand in the fire. I know exactly what's going to happen. But boy, it's been a while since I have had third-degree burns.
Yeah, I'm a little too lazy to take chances anymore. I'm just like, okay. I give up too easy, and I try to focus on the more important things, and I focus my energies there. But I've been with my lady for almost 13 years, right? And by far the longest relationship I've ever had. That's 13 years of question marks, like, what the fuck are you doing with me? But, I don't know if Robert Stack's going to solve that mystery or not. Robert Stack. But, like, back in the Catton days, got a few times stuck my hand in the cookie jar, and sometimes there weren't cookies in there, and I don't know what that means, but let's just say it wasn't good. So yeah, but as I've gotten older now, it's like I'm just gonna sit here and watch Steve, and I'm gonna watch Convo Couch, and if there's something I can do.
Just told us like he was having some serious ladyboy days back in the day.
What are you, the narrator? Are you
that Cobra whiskey? Is that what it was, Warren? You got full of the Cobra whiskey, and you're like, fuck it, bring me a ladyboy or 10. Fuck it, we're gonna do this. No, that's not a cookie in the cookie jar. No, that's a dick and balls. But I've had Cobra whiskey.
Cobra whiskey. Nah, man. Well, I lived out in LA for a while, and I was a bit of a drinker, so but I am an open guy. I'm just saying, I don't go looking for it, but love comes in many forms, and we'll just leave it at that.
I have heard. You know what, man? I have not lived in LA. Like, as a resident, I've spent an unfortunate amount of time there. The last time that I was in LA, I nearly got kidnapped by a fine-ass black girl. Slightly
kidnapped?
Afraid.
Well, all right, now you get full screen because you got to tell this fucking
sure that
story.
I would have came back. I'm not exactly sure. I could be somebody's mask at this point. I could be.
Mask.
She stomped at Glory Jones. Where Glory and I had gone down to Bullhorn in Hollywood, and we were on the train back to the Convo house, and this chick And so we're talking Glory starts like says something and the chick turns, spins and stomps her foot at Glory Jones. And Glory's like, yo, dude. It's like my dad, dog. and at that point, I went, I know this bitch has a knife on her. And while you could drown a midget in my panties, I'm so wet right now. I'm probably not trying to die tonight. So I don't think I'm gonna.
I thought my experience getting a stress test from the Scientologist was bad, but that's wow. Okay, that's. I think I told you guys last week that when I worked at the bookstore, two of them came in and they wear those blue uniforms with like some stuff on the cuffs, and I said, "Hey, where are you flying to today?" And they're like, "Yeah, we're not pilots." I'm like, we're not. Like, well, good. So but I didn't get kidnapped. Thank goodness. That would be a shitty place to have kidnappers.
I thought that they got their own planets and stuff. I thought that was one of the promises of Xenu.
Right.
I thought they all got to be like fucking polygamous Ziggy Stardusts. Wait, that's redundant. I thought they got to be, the fucking little, starbed. I really did. I thought that was part of the marketing.
I was just thinking about maybe they were space Mormons. Yeah.
Yes. Well, that's the thing. Xenu took an H-bomb 80-some million years ago and blew up the world.
Right.
And the resultant matter from this are the thetans. And that's what you get audited for. That's what your stress test is over with the e-meter thing to show how many days. These are like essentially the negative building blocks of like whatever the. I'm not making any of this shit up. This is the largest property owners in Los Angeles have this as the core tenets of their faith. That Ron Hubbard made a trading places bet. Bet you $1 I can start a religion.
Yep. I used to live
Dianetics. Yeah.
I used to live close to that church over there on Franklin. Yeah, I live with this chick. It was like I don't know if it's Franklin or Argyle, but I live close to that corner, Franklin or Argyle, and I'd have to pass by that place every day on the way to work. It was just like, Jesus, and you'd see them out on Hollywood Boulevard, like I said, doing the stress tests in their little blue, Delta Airlines outfits. Well, what's the throwing people into volcano, like souls in the volcano? Isn't that part of that shit too? I don't understand how that fits in.
Me either. I'm honestly understudied on Scientology. I'm more for. Okay, so what I want to do though, because I watched the Leah Remini thing, and I guess there's a whole other series about people who have extricated themselves from that particular cult, and I wouldn't mind revisiting it. I first really got aware of Scientology because of the OG Anonymous when they were fucking with the Tom Cruise video.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
And then they planned the first like anonymous let's show up in front of the Scientology buildings and protest the thing, and it became like a worldwide troll.
There's so many rich and powerful people up in that too. That's what scares me about that whole thing. I mean, at least the Satanic Church, they're pretty much in check. They got a pretty good sense of humor. They're not really about to take over the world or anything like that. And I'm not saying the Scientologists are close, but they're in the ballpark. They're getting tickets at the front gate.
They barely have skin in the game, though, man. So it's a new religion. It's based on a con, a lark. Really, So Scientology is about 10 years older than the Libertarian Party and vastly more successful in terms of what it's been able to do.
I think it's kind
Sorry,
of back.
guys. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. That's just, I can't wait to throw that at some of my Liberty friends.
I don't know many people or any people actually lining up saying they're ready to be a Scientologist. Maybe maybe it's because I'm not in California anymore, but you definitely don't see that in New York. I think they do have a church here, but I don't know where it is.
Oh yeah,
but
guaranteed.
yeah, it's somewhere around here, but it's not as in your face as it was there, and that was like almost 20 years ago. So I don't know if they've changed their tactics or but the money aspect of like people who are in it that have like pretty good amount of coin. No, I'm not talking about like what is it? Oh shit! Who's the people that have like trillions of dollars? Those people, the family, the bloodsuckers, the the Rothschilds. They're not the Rothschilds, but they have enough in there to influence people. But like I said, I don't know anybody that's just like, I got my bags packed, I'm going to LA.
That's the code word we're going with, because I did ask you this before we went live. We're just gonna go with Rothschilds then. Okay, Warren, I see how you party. I do.
I like it easy, like Sunday morning.
So the money that's in Scientology is basically in downtown real estate holdings all throughout the country and a number of other states. Like it is. It's a real estate scam. It's a tax shelter. It's another avenue to launder some money and some kids and wield some influence, maybe a little bit of perceived power. But and they do kind of have their own like intelligence service sort of thing. And
Right.
so they can trade in information and they're valuable in that way. But in terms of actual power, no, they're fucking around with actors mostly.
Right.
They got a chunk of fucking Hollywood and like the narcissist that Joel Osteen couldn't rope in.
Ugh. So they're kind of like, I would say they were probably more of a distraction, but a kind of like a money making for ourselves kind of distraction. Whereas, who are the real players though, in your opinion? Who do you think is really running the show?
So I mean, Johnny Vedmore is probably more right than anybody wants him to be when it comes down to the whole like bloodline families and banking cartels. There's a certain amount of concentrated wealth that is still within royal families and still within the city of London and still within the Vatican and still in Washington, D.C. These are nationless city states unto themselves within countries. He can go into the actual living family members way better than I can, so you should check out his work on that. But I mean, I can tell you what, who their bagmen are, because we talk about them all the time.
Right.
And that's, the ghouls at the World Economic Forum. That's the people that are managing and holding, the deep sea mining contracts, like Mark Benioff, who just stepped down as CEO of Salesforce. But I mean, these are the primary drivers of Western policy. And then in China, there are 8 immortal families that all get to be capitalists. All of their progeny get to be capitalists. They all get to own fucking everything, and they are beyond the Chinese Communist Party. And Xi Jinping is a, central planning manager that's what communism effectively is just a massive central planning on a fucking inherently murderous and corrupt scale.
Right. Well, I mean, yeah, I always thought that it was like a family type thing where different old families, old money were kind of like, you know, pulling the strings, and all these other fools, these wannabes or whatever, these puppets have been the ones that are actually been making the shit happen. I've listened, like I said, I watch your show practically every day when I can. When I'm, aw. Look how humble. I'm precious. That's just sweet. I never heard you say aw. It was a rare moment of humility and humanity from Stevie P.
Really? Is that how it comes off, Ben? Because like I kind of feel like I don't know.
You're a sweetheart. You're a good person. You're pretty rough around the edges, and I like people like that. Some people, they don't, you know, they can't deal with their truth just, you know, smashed in their face like that. But I'm like, okay, you know. I've heard you talk about how you'd like to. Well, I don't want to like misquote you or anything, but you would rather we not have a federal government. Is that right?
I would rather we abolish the state entirely, everywhere, all at once. I think that if you look at the vast majority of the problems that we encounter as human beings, in nearly every circumstance, the existence of the state exacerbates those problems greatly. I think that every criticism of what a stateless society might look at is always a current description of the status quo. I think that if you remove the monopoly on violence that the state comes with, one of the things that makes it a state is its monopoly on violence. You remove that, and people have to interact with each other, have to or voluntarily choose to. We realize how grossly expensive violence is, and it does become much more of a last resort. I think it would be vastly easier to figure out how we're going to provide energy for future generations. I think it would be vastly easier to figure out how we can feed people without wholesale destruction of planet, rainforest, etc. Because if we are kind of, you know, decentralizing government in general, dissolving government in general and decentralizing society, and be working towards a much more like federated existence instead of a federal system, then the need for like massive large scale agricultural operations where one area is responsible for feeding 1/5 of all citizens on the country, and that 1/5 of citizens don't even live in the area where the food is being grown. That's silly.
Right.
And unnecessary.
I mean, how do you achieve that though? How do you is it like a gradual transition to that, or is it just like a boom, you gotta cut bait and just go immediately to a decentralized type of system? Because I mean, you're talking about 350 million cats that you're herding, right? That you're trying to, you know, what do we do with all these people? How are we going to do it? You know,
I would argue that 350 million cats don't currently live under what the system markets itself to be in the first place. I would argue that there are millions to tens of millions of people that operate almost entirely in a gray or black market setting, where they dip their toe into, you know, society, have a limited amount of on paper existence where they have to. I would argue that decentralization has already taken place in a number of ways, and that there's a lot of different things that are on the horizon as prospects or concepts or ideas that are you know, going to be driving more thought in this regard, no matter what I say. I'm just trying to you know, plant a flag in here for maintaining some sort of human connection while we do it in the three-dimensional space. I think a lot of it gets lost in the sauce and becomes more of a transhumanist, metaverse, crypto bro kind of conversation, and it makes me scream. Because I think we may be on the verge of losing what it means to be human beings, and that bothers me.
Yeah, in more ways than one. And I think our too much dependency on technology, which was birthed, you know, several decades ago. I remember me coming up, it's like they were talking about the future, the computer this, computer that, boom, 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 the Internet of Things, that sort of thing. And, you know, but I grew up out in the country, and my dad, he was like jack of all trades, you know, taught us how to fix automobiles, taught us how to plant and grow food, and we grew a lot of food. We had a garden probably half the size of a football field, and there was only 5 of us, so we always had what we had. But then we would go around to like the family and friends, you know, like people we went to church with, or like, you know, family members and stuff, and gave them, you know, part of our garden, and we still had a shit ton left over. And then cousins would do the same. They would go deer hunting every season, and they'd come around, you know, and they'd bring us deer steaks and stuff like that. And that was the culture back in the 70s, at least through the 80s, that I remember that culture. And I'm thinking, you know, what if that, you know, coronal mass ejection hits Earth and we're all fucked, and we don't have our little gods to worship in the palm of our hands. And I'm not talking about that God, I'm talking about the electric God. Anyway, what happens then? You know, and people don't know these basic skills that we had just 40 years ago. You know, what's going to happen then?
Well, I think that's kind of what's being counted on, is guaranteeing that kind of dependency. This is what did James Lindsay, the guy that everybody's currently mad at me for having a perfectly rational conversation with the other day, he called it the long march to the institutions. This sort of gradual dumbing down of America through the educational systems in the government schools. Now, that Lindsay calls it communism or Marxism, with their Rockefeller schools, it's a Rockefeller education system. Now, you can identify it. To me, the shape of the hat of the totalitarian is the least important part. It's that no matter what, all of their problems are solved with, oh, well, we'll just exterminate this entire class or group of people. That's what I have the problem with. Like, the rhetoric that leads up to that, fucking okay. You know, neat. All right, yeah. Have your go fucking jerk each other off on theory until it's time to fucking pick up a gun and exterminate people, because that's in your fucking book too. Every single time. Every single time.
There was this no, this whole show is a tangent. We should have just called it tangent and been done with it. But no, that's why I wanted you on here, man. You have good tangents. I saw this thing on Twitter. There, it was like it was like some parody account. I think you may have saw that where the lady says, "Well, my dog got, you know, the big C, and now I gotta ice him," and and people went ape shit on that lady, man. You don't fuck with dogs, man. People, please.
Okay, so I'm a comedy nerd. Well, and I think that this is a pretty well established fact, and I'm fairly certain that the people who are hanging out for this, you know, I think know this. I don't know. But I have, you know, several friends that are stand-up comics, and I'm meeting more, you know, basically every month. And we have these conversations about where comedy went wrong and how it's being reclaimed and why there's a lot of reason to have positivity about the future of comedy going forward, which I genuinely believe, because man, you can't do corporate woke comedy. You can't do corporate art is soulless. And if you want to do safe comedy or like, you know, progressive comedy, it's just walking out on stage and fucking yelling at everyone until they feel bad. And like try to, you know, shame the room into maybe saying, that's right, instead of laughing at your jokes like you're supposed to at the fucking comedy club, where you're going to laugh at the person telling the jokes on.
Well, yeah, they turn it into like a fucking political rally or some shit. It's like, I don't go to those things.
Okay, look, if you can make people laugh while you do that, yes, do that. But if all you're doing is trying to like get your fucking, you know, make everyone in the room think about your neuroses before they open their mouth or process a thought or decide how to react, that's not fucking comedy. It's not, you know. But I have a lot of hope. I do. And that tweet, that is some Ari Shafir level shit. That is fucking like, it wasn't quite what he did to the Kobe fans, but damn, it was close and it was on that level. And I just fundamentally appreciate somebody who just says, fuck it, I'm gonna hit it around, because you know that was in the drafts for a couple of days maybe. Or it was just one of those things where they were like, if I die today, I die today. Today is a good day to die, and you fucking go for it. And oh man, I respect the hell out of that. I really do. I have in the past once or twice went for it in a way that did not resonate with a lot of people. And you know what? I'm gonna do it again. And I'm gonna do it again. And I'm gonna do it again.
Have you ever done stand up yourself? Just like I figure out,
very, very long time.
Really? So you did. What did you do? Did you have like a set, or I mean, was it like an open mic? What was the setup?
Yeah, no, so it was open mic shit. There were a couple of years where we had like a regular thing, but it wasn't at, you know, there was a guy who used to work at the Renaissance festivals named Christoph. He was an insulter. He was my mentor for a couple of years. He was so fluent in like 6-7 languages. He was a giant motherfucker. He was pretty. It sucked. I hated being around him, but he was fucking hilarious, dude. Absolutely hilarious. And so he did stand up. He encouraged me to go with him. There were a couple of like local fucking Dallas, Texas idiots that would have us come, and like Christoph would feature and I would open for Christoph, and I would do like 3 or 5 minutes. Christoph would do 5 to 7, 12 minutes, and then the fucking dude would go on for his shit. And like, it was, I would have done it right? But I didn't want to, like, I didn't want to live in Texas. And that would have been the only place that anyone had ever seen me do stand up before. And I knew that I didn't want to, like, I was making good money doing what I was doing. I had no responsibility. I had a cell phone bill and a campground bill and whatever fucking, food and drugs and clothes I wanted to put on in my body. It was just like, that was it. Wasn't really at the point to where, like, a serious commitment, like doing stand-up comedy a few nights a week was in my sphere.
Yeah, I'm sure some more important things came along, and yeah, that would be something you have to put on the back burner. And I, for a while, I thought I wanted to do it professionally, but when I got to LA, I did a little bit down in New Orleans at this little place called the Howling Wolf in the Warehouse District. Little hole in the wall joint. Love that place. I love those hole in the wall joints. Those are the best places to do, like, stand-up comedy. Like, if you're just not a professional and you're just doing like an open mic or something, oh, those people are so great. But then I got out to LA and it was like, I decided that, I don't know, this is gonna sound corny as hell, but I didn't feel right trying to make money off of trying to be funny. I didn't think I could probably do it anyway, even if I wanted to. I used to, at parties and stuff like that, sometimes I would hold court and tell some jokes and stuff like that, and that was fine enough for me because I was entertaining my friends, people that I loved. You go out to some bar, some dipshit out there that you don't even know from Adam, that and I'm supposed to try and be funny so the guy will pay me at the club, that sort of thing. I don't think comedy should be stressed like that. With the professionals that know how to do it, that can write it, that make it look easy, yes, I love those people. More, please. But me, myself, it was like, I found out that, yeah, it's fun, but like there's more important things I need to do. And
so here's the thing, man. You know that you're just gonna fucking make $0 for 5 to 15 to 25 years. That you're just, and I mean, dude, I am currently, on paper at least, in terms of like what would pass for disposable income or being able to get out of debt, making $0. And I'm 3 years into the show making $0 fucking dollars. So I'm tracking. But here's the thing with the show and with stand-up comedy, this is something I found out immediately pretty much about myself in life in general. I am not for everyone. You said that. You said that. And I know that. So trying to be a niche stand-up comic in 2000, when nobody wanted a, like, half insane, fucking quasi fucking psychedelic consciousness fucking stand-up comic with death jokes and fucking morbid lizard people shit. Nobody wanted that. No, I was never gonna fucking. And then 9/11 happened, and they tried to kill comedy there for a few years. That really fucking hit. That it was like, oh Jesus. But everybody's on a path. I think over the last 5 years of this, like, sort of period of acceleration that has been happening, there have been a lot of people that have sort of jumped into the lane that a handful of us have been in more or less the whole time. And there's more of an audience that's receptive to both, like, the kind of comedy that my friends are good at and have been doing and have been succeeding at over the last couple of years tremendously, and the kind of content that we produce. And so there's probably going to be a few times this year when I cross paths with a handful of different comedians that all do 5 minutes or something like that. Been talking to a couple of people.
Well, that's good. I would love to see that, actually. You know, and I think when you do it like that, I've been the same way. Like when I got to New York, I didn't try to do any open mics or anything, but I knew this guy that I worked with. I was working retail, and he hosted like this once a month show at this little shitty bar. Was it Don Pedro over in Bushwick near Woodhull Hospital, the Chocolate Death Factory, and God, the place was great. It was a condemned building. And but they still had a bar, a functioning bar in there, and then a back room where they did comedy. And so yeah, I would do that sporadically, you know. And it was great, you know. It was just like you for somebody that likes to be funny. I don't know. People are funny for different reasons. They usually they're trying to, you know, not trying to pick themselves up, you know, emotionally and mentally, and you know, or maybe they don't think of themselves as good people, so if they think if they can make someone else laugh, that may be some worth that they have, you know, you have, that you were able to make someone smile, you know, corny shit like that. But you know, I think like if you can do what you like to do, if you can't do what you love, at least do a whole bunch of things that you like to do, and so you can at least try and fill that void. You know?
Yeah, I mean, eventually something's got to replace cocaine.
Don't you say that? Wait a minute. Sorry. Very disappointed in you, Steve.
Take it back.
You're just a terrible person. I don't even know why I agreed to this now anymore. Just my whole world is shattered. That was shattered probably about 20 years ago. It's fine. So let's get to some fun stuff. I mean, this has been a fun conversation. Don't get me wrong, but I want to get to like the kind of the meat and taters of what we're doing here tonight. So we're kind of taking a look back at this year, and then at some point we're gonna make some predictions about next year. What I want to know from you is, you know, in 5 minutes, tell us exactly everything that happened this year.
Well, so it's weird because sometimes I kind of feel like 2020 and 2021 were one long year, because if you remember, like right after New Year's Day on 2020, we all thought we were going to go to war with Iran because Trump assassinated General Soleimani.
Right, yeah.
And then it just sort of got weirder from there.
Yeah.
And you know, Rona lockdown, blah, 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 blah. But on January 1st of this year, I flew into Washington, D.C. And we were there for a week. We had events scheduled that had been, you know, in the works for months around the reading of Julian Assange's extradition verdict, which took place on January 4th. We had events on the 3rd and the 4th. That was also the 4th Force the Vote protests on the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, of which we were the whole, like, or almost the whole MCSC network crew was there for all of that, all of it. And then, of course, Pasta and Fee and Johnny Button stuck around for the insurrection. I did. Andrew, the Action for Assange, stuck around for that. Jason Burmis, who we you know, hung out with this morning. That morning, Jason Burmis and Dylan Avery and me were hanging out at the Ellipse, like kind of making fun of the, you know, lame sort of day drunk, boring Woodstock vibe that had to it. And then it got weird, of course. On the flight back, it was jam-packed Trump supporters. I've told this story a couple of times, so apologies to people who have heard it, but the flight attendants were scared. They wouldn't come out and serve anybody. There were people like, e-cigarettes and fucking weed pens on the plane. Nobody did mask on, shit like that. The people on the plane were like, holy fuck, they used this as set dressing. This is gonna suck. We're all gonna be domestic terrorists. I know it. And then they all forgot. They all forgot. And I mean, from there, we went from learning about antibody-dependent enhancements in February. We learned about what the World Economic Forum's rebuilding trust for the year going forward. We had some wonderful events. Action for Assange. And launched the Fuck Censorship campaign in March, April. Got to scream at CNN in LA. Man, it's been wild, dude. The Home Run for Julian tour, John and Gabriel Shipton came to the United States to talk to Americans about how the First Amendment works because they don't know. And I got to, meet and travel with Julian Assange's father and half brother for a couple of weeks and do those events. And it's watching global free press get sort of slowly murdered while the framework for the fourth industrial revolution is being rolled out, and see people still want to bicker about team sports politics has been one of the more maddening aspects of this, because there are still people who are like, and I appreciate the energy that goes into giving enough of a damn to want to become active. Do you know what I mean? To want to do something. But if the something you're doing is trying to steer resources and energy and people who have nothing, and you try to steer that into a federal political solution for something that these people have made it perfectly clear that they're not now nor ever going to do because they don't give a fuck about you. Pull back, recalibrate. Don't lose your energy. Put it into something tangible like parallel societies, parallel structures, using counter economics as the weapon of choice to break the stranglehold that these central bank fucking cartel demons have on most of this year. I'm gonna say flat Earth underneath a firmament.
Yeah, it's I'm with you on 2021 being like 2020, part due, back in the habit, Bud the Chud. And I've kind of weaned myself off. I think this was finally after the Bernie fiasco last year. That was finally the nail in the coffin for me. And like I said, I've always kind of been a late bloomer when it comes to getting my head around what's actually going on, within politics, but also what outside of politics too. And you really got me thinking about this, because at first I thought what I've been doing this whole time, or at least this year, was like, I don't believe in electoral politics, but I think we still should be holding the feet to the fire of the people who are in government, right? But that just seems to me now kind of like a fool's errand, because you really don't want them in there at all. Not just the main players, but the whole system itself has just gotten so corrupt. You want to take it out as well. So now it's like one of those things. I think maybe others may feel this way too, where you get to a point in your life you start thinking differently again. Like when you were younger, you thought a certain way. You got a little older. Oh no, it's this way. Then you get a little older. Oh no, it's this way. So now, like I said, listening, to guys like you, who, to preface this, I have Everybody's got that cousin. So I have a cousin, right? Straight up libertarian, right? And we got into this argument. He was talking about privatizing all the roads. And I was thinking about that, what he was saying within the context of the current structure that we have right now. Like, I was like, well, how would you privatize roads? You know, like, what if you need the ambulance to come to your house or shit like that, you know? And I was trying to wrap my head around it, and I couldn't wrap my head around it. But what I ended up doing was just attacking the fact that came from a libertarian's mouth, rather than, no, this just came from my cousin's mouth. That, you know, that maybe his intentions were good. He wasn't thinking about, like, wanting to privatize everything just for the sake of doing it. That maybe there was some sort of process to it. But so I'm slowly trying to adjust evolve my thinking about this, because the big picture is fucking huge, and it really is hard to wrap your whole mind around it. I don't know if you can without, you know, people like you and Fee, Pasta, and all our friends who are trying to lead the way on this, you know.
Well, let's take an oft I don't know, kicked around concept that you hear from libertarians, which is taxation is theft, and let's apply it to in a like left-leaning framework, right? What is the left's number one complaint about the state's use of tax money, Warren? What would you say?
The I don't know, like giving it away to people who don't deserve it. I've heard that a lot.
Right. So I mean, in every sense of the word, is that not a theft?
Yeah. Broadly, it is. You know, without context.
Immediately there is 100% agreement with the you know, libertarians and the left on the fact that the state is stealing your money and giving it to people without your consent, that you would in no way, shape, or form agree to giving your money to in the first place, because you understand that they're going to take it and kill people with it. You know, use it to, you know, use their monopoly on violence to exert force in order to take either resources or lives or whatever, exploit labor, information, however it goes. That is in all ways, shapes and form a theft. Where the barrier is that the left is still under the impression that even though no matter what shape of hat you're wearing, when you create a massive centralized power structure, that power structure becomes corrupted, because that's what centralized institutions do. You don't get them without the corruption. They rely inherently on this sort of bureaucratic class. The whole concept of bureaucrats is that they're unelected, they're largely unaccountable, they can always shift blame, and they can best maneuver within that system by being demonic little weasels to one another. That's every time. That's every time. I don't give a fuck. Like what shape of hat you're pointing to, that's every time. Where you get consensus based, you know, governance or problem solving is when you remove that central authority of the state.
Well, you talk about that, taking that example of like how people perceive that the government is stealing their money. For the longest time, you've heard from conservative camps that yes, the government is taking your money and giving it to some, you know, welfare queen who's got like 3 flat screen TVs in his government funded apartment, that sort of thing. You've got that angle of it, but then you also have the people on the left who are like, nah, yeah, the government's wasting our money, but they're putting like billions and billions and billions into the defense industry. They're the cronyism, all the bureaucratic, what is it? The business is getting like not paying taxes, that sort of thing. So you have two people who like two different sets of people who agree money is being stolen, but their belief of who's stealing it goes in the two different camps, and that's where we need to like kind of unmuddy the waters between different folks like that who do have the same concept of like, yeah, this is theft, but it's just like, how do we talk to these people to get them to all in the same room together and say to work together to fix it?
That people have to realize that ultimately the thing that they're both complaining about is the state. That as a government of last resort, a representative republic was a wonderful aspiration, right? And that's what originally, according to the marketing, for the white dudes that owned property, enough of it at any rate, the marketing said you were created equal and you were endowed by your creator with these unalienable rights. There was a whole, framework for a republic if we could keep it. That was conditional upon refreshing the tree of liberty with the blood of tyrants, which we fucking forgot to do. Now, I do not advocate physical violence, but I am 100% advocating economic warfare through utilizing counter economics. I am 100% advocating economic warfare by the construction of parallel societies, parallel structures. I think that Scott Horton is right when he says that 60 million libertarians under arms, you technically don't need a government. I agree with that. I do. But again, you've got to be able to have, some mutual trust, some mutual respect, and some genuine understanding that violence is inherently the most expensive prospect you can engage in when interacting with your neighbor.
Yeah, and it's inevitable too. Even if you get like 99% of the population to do things peacefully, there's always going to be that 1% that's just going to, just rage. And and not just with their voices. I think I don't know. Like I go back to the 350 million, or like minus the people kind of living off grid, as it were, financially and whatever, but I like one system of government might work for like a small amount of people. It just seems to me like with millions and millions of people who have been drinking the freedom Kool-Aid for so long, I think that's one of the reasons why you haven't seen the Tree of Liberty watered in a while, because everybody just so drunk on, oh, America, yay, number one. Well, we're not number one in anything except like military size now and number of bases around the world, right? We're not number one in education.
Adults per capita,
right?
We're number one in that.
Obesity, I think we have the most obese. So all the wrong things we're number one in, and but even when I was a puppy, and probably when you were too, you just fed that that Red Dawn nonsense, Lee Greenwood, like just because you're American, everything's gonna be all right, and it's like, no, we kind of have to.
Is that wrong though? It's good to live in the heart of the empire, Warren. That's inarguable, or at least there for a while. I mean, we are without a doubt an empire in decline, but still, we're not. No, I still haven't had to take a PCR test or a fucking COVID test to get on an airplane. If I had to take a test, I would not have to take a shot yet or ever, because I'm just going to stop flying at that point, you know. But I mean, we have states here that are inarguably some of the most, you know, quote unquote free places left in the world, that have running water at the same time, you know. And they're, you know, they're like, so I said this at the during the insurrection thing. The reason that it didn't turn into a fucking bloodbath on the part of the insurrectionists, one, because the people who led it were feds and that wasn't going to happen in the first place. But two, the people who went in believing the marketing. They believed that Lee Greenwood shit more than anybody else. Generationally bought into the Lee Greenwood shit, Warren. That's why they stayed between the fucking velvet ropes, because they bought the marketing. You know, they thought that simply occupying the people's house was going to get the people the voice, because that's what the marketing said. That's what the movies say. It's what the propaganda says. And for years now, I've been saying that America is the most propagandized country on the planet, pointing that I took it from a fucking article called 3 Cheers for Socialism, which, by the way, when people running around like using America's the most propagandized country, hands down, like as like one of their taglines, knowing that it's a thing that has existed in the zeitgeist, as it were, since, you know, at least 2018, 17, something like that, when the article came out. But if all you have on your own is, you know, marketing and other people's ideas that you're just repackaging and rehashing and, you know, putting a 3-color schematic on, then do that shit, man. Do it.
Well, I think everyone since people had ice boxes in their places, and before that they were been told what they need, right? It's people stop trying to figure out for themselves what they need. The powers that be, the people that want to control them, are telling them what they need. You know, I mean, like, you got to remember, people got to remember too, like, you know, back in the 60s, when they, you know, people were getting the shit scared out of them by missiles in Cuba, you know, scared so much.
Rightfully so, by the way. I've talked to some people who have living memory of that, like, right, from the operational point of view.
They actually thought that shit was going to happen, you know, and what does that do to a population, an entire, you know, millions and millions of people who have been waving the flag and having those barbecues on the 4th of July, like, oh shit, this could be taken away just like that. That's only 90 miles away. Fuck, man, I don't know what I'd probably have to wear like 2 pairs of pants, because I'd be shitting one half the time.
I would be wearing no pants, and I would be fucking.
You'd be leaving a trail. You'd never get lost.
Oh, into the world? Hey, Steve's balls deep. That's how we're doing this. That's how we're doing this. Somebody's ass in the air, and we're rocking.
And we just don't care. Yeah. Hell, man, if I could find a good excuse not to wear pants, I'd do it, especially in the summertime. Jesus Christ.
I am the chairman of anti-pants.
Yes. I want to be in that club. Where do I sign up? What are the fees like?
You make a pledge to disavow them britches, and that's all it takes, man. It's very, very low. There's no like jumping in. Nobody's getting shot in the leg. You don't have to slash the throat of a Hittite slave. Pretty mellow entry, yeah.
Can you imagine a world where we're not wearing pants? The freedom, not
me every summer, bro. I do fucking the amount of times that I have done Slow News Day pantsless with a fan on under the desk because my studio was outdoors and it was 103. It's been several. It's, you know, I mean, more than a dozen. I'll say that, you know, I mean, just like, you know, drawers on. Where, you know, Chinese, yeah, dude, but like, no, you do a fucking ball fan on. It's fucking hot.
I don't have AC in this place, and you remember New York summers? They ain't pleasant. That if it was drier, maybe, but that fucking humidity. So yeah, anybody that comes over to this place, my lady friend, she's already accustomed to seeing the two giant sticks of chalk sticking out and blinding her. But I said, I ain't wearing any fucking pants. It's too fucking hot. And I'm sitting there like grabbing fans and, you know, and I'm doing this shit down here. And
yeah.
Anyway, that was probably a little too much information.
Yeah, trying to be considerate about the ball musk, baby.
I miss a dry heat. I ain't gonna lie. I miss a dry heat. It wasn't like that pleasant, but it sure is fucking better than, you know, having oyster soup over here. So anyway, on that note, wait a minute. I want to go back to this since I made this. I'm on fire. So you're always bragging about it. People say like, oh, look, a quarter, and you're like, yeah, I saw that quarter like 4 years ago, asshole. What the fuck? Where the fuck you been? So Poika Nostradamus, I want you to put on your bragging pants. These are the only pants I want you to wear. Your bragging pants, and tell me what you predicted like years ago that would happen this year that did happen. Now, you know, I mean, there's probably like a fuck ton, so just pick your favorites.
Okay, so digital passports are being introduced. Tony Blair has guaranteed them. The UK just introduced legislation that sets up the digital ID framework. They've already alpha tested it. They're going into their beta testing. That's going forward. Pre-crime is something that we had been sounding the alarm on as far back as 2019. Pre-crime went into effect on January 1st of this year. A man named Daniel Baker is currently behind bars because of it. That's some real shit that we called way the fuck in advance. Representative Jim Jordan using anime as a fucking troll video, I think we sort of willed into existence. And I'm not sure, at least according to Magnus, we willed that into existence. I mean, that's just popping into my head for 2022 though. What I do want people to be aware of is that the likelihood that we're actually going to have that grid collapse, that cyber pandemic, that is exceptionally likely. And I'm not going to say it will last more than a day or two, but enough to fucking disrupt and shake people up. And so I would 100% prepare for that. I would absolutely take, you know, a number of steps to make sure that you can feed yourself for 3 weeks, that you have, you know, water, the ability to fucking have clean water for several weeks, at the very least. I would fucking plant a garden if you can. Wrote a fucking book about how like how to go digital with dignity. And it's basically like, here's how we're gonna get you into mega cities and be fucking technocratic slaves. You know, it'll be fun. I hope he had a good ghostwriter. I actually will probably put myself through some hell and read a little bit about that. But cyber pandemic, yeah. But I also do think this. I think that, and I said it on the show this morning, I think that the people who have been bringing you truth. And all of us have fucking got kicked in the face really hard the last couple of years. I am predicting fucking like abundance in terms of success for the vast majority of that particular group, because it really has been there's been some significant like breakthroughs for people of this community that have been doing this shit, dude. Whitney Webb is about to get propelled to fucking international stardom. That's a prediction I'm willing to make for 2022.
Right on.
Whitney Webb, household name all over the world. I will fucking make that prediction right now. You know, but we've all fucking taken it on the chin. I have never met a group of people with a stronger fucking chin than the people that have like gone through hell with us over the last couple of years through this. And they're some of the most fucking incredible just fighters that I've ever had the privilege of knowing. So that gives me a reason to go out on a high note.
Yeah, that's, well, because of what like you and others have gone through and have still managed to, you know, report on these things that no one else seems like they're willing to report on. I mean, you've definitely inspired those coming up that are just getting into this world, as it were. You know, I was an old news guy back in the 90s, and I was raised by like news anchors and reporters that are like, you know, the who, what, where, when, and why cats. You know what I mean? The old schoolers that were like, we need to help our community, we need to inform our community, you know. And then when they started, when it got close to 2000 and local stations started caring more about, you know, the people that were paying them, their sponsors and stuff, because there were several stories I would see that didn't get broken because they were a sponsor of a local TV station or newspaper or whatever it was. And that's when I kind of said, well, this is where I get off the boat here, you know, because I didn't want to be a part of where I saw where it was going. I knew that with the rise of cable news and having to fill time. So what do you fill time with? You fill time with bullshit because it's easy to find and it's easy to fill with. And then all of a sudden you don't have journalism anymore. You have facts that are competing with all this bullshit, you know, and I didn't want to swim in those waters. So I kind of took a mental break, and it just, this show actually, and I think I've told you this before, you inspired this show with Get Your Shit Together, right? That when you started doing Get Your Shit, because I knew you were like, you know, I knew you had a good sense of humor, and you would use it on Slow News Day, but most of the time you were telling us the gloom and doom of all the psycho shit that the elites were doing, right? But when you started doing Get Your Shit Together, and it was just like hey, call in, let's free our minds a little bit, and, you know, take a new way of doing one of these things and doing the call-in show. I was like, yeah, that is a great way to get to know people better, because that's the thing. Strangers don't tend to trust each other, but if you have some sort of familiarity with somebody, like there may be somebody out there that can't stand you, but because you like a certain comedian, or like you have you know, you've been a certain place, you know, something that you haven't been able to reveal in your, you know, doing your shows or whatever. It's like, oh, even if it's just like a little tiny, you know, piece that someone could say, okay, I could give this guy a chance, or I could give this lady a chance, you know. That's what I'm trying to do with this show. It's just like bring on people, show all the facets that they have that they don't normally get to show. But I wanted to say that you inspired that, and hopefully, you know, my generation or level of people that are starting to come up can get high enough to where we can help and inspire those, who are trying to do this too, and keep that cycle going of information and community and helping one another and mutual aid. And it's just, that's what bonds us as humans, I think, and the machinations that the state has put upon us to keep us apart. My prediction is a lot of people are just next year going to be like, you know what, I've had enough of this bullshit. There's going to be a rise of people out of direct action that are going to start leading the conversations, because we got to make a change, right? I know that sounds cliche, but god damn it, how much can we take, right?
I see Dave Smith getting 17% of the presidential vote in 2024. I'm not kidding. I'm getting that guy on my show before he announces he's running for president, because Slow News Day doesn't interview politicians.
I hear you.
And I'm not going to interview anyone seeking office ever again. Ever again. That door is closed. I will say this though, I love to do the college show. I may at some point down the road have another incarnation of the college show, because it was so much fun, dude. You're right. Everything was, well, we did 14, 16 episodes of it. So like there were a couple of like not rehearsed bits, but okay, we're going to do this bit, or this person's going to call in. I know for a fact that like I'm going to be talking to this person, but for most of the time it was just cold, whatever. Okay, that's what we're doing, Okay, this is the direction that the person has decided to take the call. Okay, that's where we're gonna. That's just what we're gonna do.
It was, I think I'm a big fan of random, and that's why I like when I do this show. It's like, there's, like you said, there's no script, and we just go where the river takes us, and I think that's just so honest, and so it makes people comfortable too, right? Because it's not like a canned conversation. Like I never wanted to do like a straight interview show with people. You know what I mean? I want to have people on and we talk about just shit, and then like somebody will just bring up the most random shit and you're like, what?
Well, we're going to get right back to you, but first it's time for traffic on the 12.
We're flying over the 101 and clear skies all the way to wherever the fuck. Yeah, I know, right? I don't miss that world at all. It was just so, being a news producer and you have to like boom, 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 boom. Although the gig, when I worked at this Fox station on the Gulf Coast in Gulfport, Mississippi, and it was a startup, and it was great. It was literally like we were building sets and shit like that, and we had our first newscast, and it must have had like 20 to 30 stories in it, because we were just like boom, 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 boom. The people that I worked around were so into it. And there was a juggernaut station that had been there for years and years and years. So they had been running the show, and because that station made a lot of money, there was a lot of special interests in the area that never got talked about, right? But we talked about those motherfuckers, and we had people calling in and emailing us and stuff saying, hell yeah, man, thanks for doing this story. I never get to see this on WLOX. That was the one across town. I never seen this on there. Thanks for doing this, And so, fast forward about, 20 something years, and now I'm seeing it all over again on the internet. You have like these fuckers that have had their run, that have been just like telling you all this bullshit and feeding it to you this whole time. Meanwhile, there's these upstarts, here they come, and they're bringing you all this information that these fuckers aren't bringing you. It was like fucking deja vu. It was like, now I feel at home. Even though I'm not technically a journalist or anything like that, I support the ones who are, and I want their voices to be heard, and I want more voices. The more, the merrier. You know what I'm saying? So I'm hoping that's my role in all this, is to help encourage others to get their voices out there. So I don't know, or just do dick jokes all day, right?
Yeah. I mean, or you could do what the rest of independent media does and just chase clout all day and maybe get lucky with it. You know, it's a lane.
I'll tell you, every single person that I've had on this show is someone that I like and I respect, and I wanted to have a conversation with, for others to hear and to share and enjoy. I don't like you say, you don't do that, you know, weekly world news bullshit. I'm not about like doing, oh, did you hear what so and so said? Oh, you hear about this? I don't give a shit about that. There's so much of that shit out there. Your TMZ type folks, you know, they make their money. That's fine, whatever. You know, if they're not breaking any laws, they aren't hurting anybody. Okay, you know, as long as they ain't lying to anybody either. But if that's their, you know, that's their niche, you know, okay, whatever. But that's not me either, right? You know, I stopped doing stand-up comedy because I liked talking one-on-one or with like a small group of people, instead of like going out on stage and just like trying to tell some bullshit jokes I made up at the Waffle House 2 nights ago, you know, half drunk, like, yeah, that sounds good. You know, that has its place, but I found something more important, and I'm glad I've got to meet you and others like you. So, you know, thanks for doing what you do, man.
Oh yeah, thank you, man. Thank you.
I mean, you know, you probably don't get that enough, you know. I mean, you talk to the new, you know, other newsmakers too, and they probably don't get that either. So, you know, that's like an osmosis thing. You get that, but then they also get that too. You know,
no,
the blanket appreciation.
We are shallow, narcissistic, hollow little creatures. If we're not constantly blowing each other, there's just no reason to get up in the morning and do this.
Right. Well, yeah, you're too busy doing other shit. You ain't got time for blowing each other. The blowies.
Man, no, right. Dude, look, there's a lot of people that get by in this space just by bringing other people down, just by talking shit. And there's people who have, you know, like 85% of their channel is just them shit talking other people.
Right.
And like, I don't know, dude, there's not enough people doing good work. And so I like to talk about them. That, I mean, like when we're spending time on an individual, hopefully it's to showcase the work that they're doing, and that's why they're on the show in the fucking first place. You know, and real quick, because it seems like we're winding down here. To that point, Vanessa Beeley will be returning to the program this Sunday.
Nice.
Because there's some wild shit going down in Syria, as always, and she is, you know, uniquely positioned to comment on it. The reason that we had Burmis on today is because he's covered the Maxwell shit forever. We had Addy Ads on the day before that because he's there in New York. You know, they had Adam Kokesh on because he fought the law and won and could talk about it. And like, that's, you know, when I, like, hopefully when I'm talking about somebody, it's because, you know, we're lifting them up rather than being like, this person's not a real whatever, and here's why. Go fuck yourself, man. There's oligarchs and there's us. Look at your bank account, figure out which one you are. Chances are you're going to be with us. Welcome. We've got snacks.
There's a band. We have a band.
Let's go get this fucking freedom, bitches. Like, you know.
Right. Well, yeah, you need that. Yeah, that's the thing. There's not enough building up. And then people, I don't respect people who make their bones off of tearing other people down in ways that isn't constructive. I mean, like, some people need to be called out if they're spewing bullshit nonstop. I can understand that, but, you know, you can't, there's just no, I don't know, value to me in watching somebody just do like a gossip column about somebody, you know. If it, in the grand scheme, it doesn't matter. You know, you're wasting your time talking about this shit. You could be talking about something else. You could be telling people what Steve and the Convo Couch and Misty and Franco and all these other cats, everybody else is doing, you know, instead of doing that shit. But, you know, everybody's got different motivations in this space, you know. They see it as like, this could be opportunity for me, but I can only do it this way by, you know, the tried and true gossipy type shit that gets you clicks and stuff. So I know that I'm at 152 people subscribing to this. I'm totally fine with that. You know what I mean? I'd like more, but I'm not going to go nefarious routes to achieve that. You know what I'm saying? I want. We need organic growth in that respect and building each other up.
I'm going to get NFTs tattooed on my cock if I have to. I'm kidding. Kidding. But no, dude, we're gonna blow up this year because that's what we're gonna do this year.
Well, we got more numbers, I think, this time around. You know, and I think we're growing. We, the collective we, those who give a shit about each other, our numbers are growing exponentially. So, you know, and that's one positive I could look forward. Somebody's gonna have some music video, one of these kids, and they're gonna be wearing hammer pants, and that shit's gonna come back.
Right, with their fucking Crayola shit locks. It'll either be hammer pants or the fucking Zubaz.
Right.
I see a resurgence of Zubaz. I was looking at some chonies on the internet today because I have to reorder them. Right, and fucking like damn near Zubaz. Fucking on the draws, man. So it's only a matter of time before they're like, yeah, we can lengthen the leg on that. Yeah, they're workout pants. We'll use a slightly different material than last time. Hey, get that shit in Tennessee Titans blue, dog.
Get that nice piping. Like the tracksuit, the jersey tuxedos, you know, just that's nice. That's
Thick and
nice.
silver. Yeah.
Oh, that feels good.
Shit's waterproof.
Before we vamoose out of here, let me shout out Charlie Brown's Rebellion in the chat. Resident Gray, E. Heller messing with my bots over there. That's fine. He's a good person. Independent Left News, one of my brothers here, Cat 83. Yeah, a bunch of folks showed up. You brought a nice posse. I appreciate that. So let's get the business portion out of the way. What's going on with you? Working people get a hold of you, that sort of thing. I'm gonna pop up your Twitter right now.
Okay, so the at Slow News Day show is everywhere. We have a social media presence and like half of the donate links, Cashapp, PayPal, that kind of shit. But content wise, check us out over on the Rockfin or Odyssey. Rockfin.com/slownewsday, Odyssey.com/slownewsday, I think. And what else? Website's getting rebuilt. That's SlowNewsDayShow.com. All of the audio links you can find through Alt Media United, which is something that a gentleman named Mark Steves has put together, which is just sort of like an independent aggregate. We're working on getting an RSS feed for everything. We're going to try and get this. Slow News Day is going fucking like full on into the Mastodon and Fediverse this year. We are really going to be encouraging everyone we know to come with us to help like spread out, decentralize, diversify your bonds. But yeah, I'd be like, it's time, man. It's time. And I know that there are people who in their hearts have, a commie flag tacked up on the wall inside of their garage. I know that. And like, look, dude, that's something we can talk about down the road.
Dude, I want to get you on another show sometime in the future, and I just want to talk. If you wouldn't mind, I just want to talk like all Art Bell type stuff. Well, if we must. No, we don't. We don't need that at all. Thank you. Sure. I was thinking like all Art Bell shit. Just I want to go full on down like many rabbit holes with you because I think that would be fun as fuck. So, what do you think?
I'm down. I'm for it. I'm into it, man. I am.
And the next, one of my goals is the next time I have you on, I'm gonna get a hold of one of those Matrix bars, and I'm gonna have one before the show and see what happens. But I have to be careful because I'm the Sleepy Josh and the Johnny on the ones and twos around here. So if I get too fucked up, we're gonna have an Oz situation where it's like, fuck it, this would work. And with
you hit up Oz from Roar Media beforehand. You say, Oz, I will send you one, or I will send you the half of the one that I'm not eating. They'll send you the half of the one that I'm eating. If you pilot this stream for me.
Holy shit.
I don't trust me to do. And I bet you that he may be willing to do that. Maybe
you think
to be like, you know what? Warren, I might.
Well, Warren, I think I can't do an Oz impression. I tried it. It's just he has such a great voice, and it's just like I don't want to disrespect the man. But I wonder if he's like, if he had. I mean, because I don't know anything about Oz. I mean, was he like a head back in the day, or was he like? Do you think if he had like a little bit of that, he'd be like, "Oh, memories, I remember this," or be like, "Oh shit, I don't know what the hell's going on." I don't want to scare the guy, but I don't want to do this fucked up either. I want to get my Art Bell on.
As long as you don't have like a fuck ton of clips that you're rolling. I mean, you're doing it through OBS though. So through StreamYard, it's just like one button.
Yeah, StreamYard's nice. I like it. I used to build like TV graphics and stuff like that. So it's just like, it's kind of like the guy who worked at the Maserati plant and he drives a Pinto. I can't be seen in that. My shit's got to be somewhat professional looking. That's one of my weird things is like, and also it gets me into Photoshop to have some fun. So, but I am willing to offer my services. So if you need any graphical needs or anything like that, I know Steve Cutler hooks you up a good bit. I love his artwork. So good. I think he was in the chat earlier. I'm not sure, but
I saw Lucky. I know that.
But he is just amazing. Yeah, I think they got a stream going on right now. I'm gonna hop on that as soon as this is done. But yeah, and that's what I also want to do in the future, like a tech show with people, so that they can. A lot of people don't know how to do to get in the space with like some of the easy peasy things they could use. Like StreamYard is probably the easiest thing they could use, right? And you don't have to break the bank and get shit, if you want to get into the space. So hopefully we'll have that in the future. Any final thoughts? Any parting comments? Anything? Wise words to the masses?
You do not have to comply with the insane and illegal arbitrary demands sociopathic pedophiles or the weaklings that they have sent out to kind of carry out again their, as Jeremy Hammond from Behind Bars put it, megalomaniacal pigwins. You don't comply. Stop complying. If you've complied up to this point, stop. Your compliance is what has allowed us to get to this point. I do have love in my heart for you, but it's time to fucking stop. It's time to stop. Because they're not going to if you keep complying. And every time you see the right, it doesn't come back. You could draw a straight line from all of the surveillance and civil liberties laws from the Patriot Act to now, and it's time to stop complying.
Well said, my friend. Well said. And I appreciate you coming on and telling tales out of school and cutting up a little bit. And, I hope you're sufficiently fucked up like I am, like in a good space. You know what I mean? Because I like doing this show a little bit crunk. Because, I'm not even gonna lie.
Oh, for real?
We ain't curing cancer over here, brother. We just try to talk to some people. So, thank you so much for coming on. If you can hang on just 1 second, I'll give you a proper goodbye when I get out of here, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
Let me say goodbye to these folks.
Goodbye, folks.
Oh, and Steve's stuff, information, there's links in the description down below, too. So, Fred, Edward, Reef Breland, Indy, all you guys, E. Heller, thanks for showing up. This is so great. I was so worried about the technical bullshit, and and then I just forgot about it. And so if there was any technical wrongdoings, hopefully we'll have them fixed by next time. But this is the last show for 2021. I believe Steve and Glory might be in on the Sabby Sabs New Year's Eve fun that's going on tomorrow on the tubes. And
could I plug that real quick?
Oh yeah. That's hang on a second. There you go.
Sorry about that. Yeah, so tomorrow, I know that Sabby's spot is from 7 to midnight on the East Coast. I know that Steve Cutler is going to be ringing in the New Year's Eve with the tunes at midnight. Glory Jones and I will be on around 7-ish, 7 to 8-ish on the East Coast. I know that Fee's going to pop in or a little bit earlier. Nico's going to pop in a little bit later. Franco's in the mix in there somewhere. Cruise by KRTD Studios for your rockin' New Year's Eve. Your host, Sabby Sab. Can't wait to see you there.
It's going to be fun. It's a great way to ring in the new year. I'm not going to be a part of that, but I'll probably be stoned in the chat. I feel very comfortable being stoned in the chat and talking to everybody. So I'll be watching you guys, and I'm looking forward to it. And I just hope everybody out there has a safe New Year's Eve. Don't be, if you're going to be stupid, don't be stupid. You know what I mean? Take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and as always, please, for the love of Jeebus, wash that fucking ass. It's too fucking dirty. Seriously.